Hello, and welcome to Koujaku's Wig Styling. I am Koujaku. Today we're going to be going over basic wig styling practices, because I get a lot of questions about this, being a hairstylist for hire whenever I feel like it. Now, if you'll excuse me, this shoulder piece is not very useful for wig styling, so I'll be taking it off. There, much more comfortable. Are you more comfortable? I thought so. So first thing we're going to be going over is preparing your wig. What I've done is I've just brushed it out. This was styled before. It is no longer styled. It's been fully brushed out. As you can see, for this generic spiky style we're going to be doing today, this is not an ideal wig for that. Reason being because of the top of the wig. It's sort of wefted in a spiral and wefted down. This will make it difficult for us to style it because, as you can see, if I lift it up and twist the tips, this is a classic test of how malleable your wig is. Go like that, it just drops right back down. And that's because of the wefts up top. They're not really built to go up. So we have to fix that. This method is going to help you in a lot of wigs that you have difficulties on. Essentially, it's my go-to thing whenever I have problems styling a wig or it's not cooperating with me. And what we're essentially going to do here is we're going to give more side one hair than the other side. And I call this changing the wig part. Basically, all you have to do is, first step anyway, is going to be to cut the wig. So I've already cut this a fair bit, but when cutting wigs, what you want to remember is that you're going to be using thinning scissors. You can cut across with these, like that, and you see I'm just holding the part I want to cut and going like that. Or you can cut, this is usually my favorite style, like this. If you're going to be using scissors like these, which you can, you want to make sure that you're cutting into the wig. So I'm just going to hold it like that and trim like that. I twist the tips to see what my spike's going to look like. So twisting the tips, if you end up with a little stray away, what you do is you just snip it off. It's like it was never there. Nobody has to know that your cutting was slightly imperfect. Secrets. A lot of people are scared of cutting a wig, and rightly so. If you cut it wrong, it can kind of mess up your wig. But what you have to remember is that it takes a lot for a wig to be totally destroyed. So if you are worried about cutting, I suggest getting sort of a rundown wig, a wig you don't intend to use for anything, and just practicing on it. This is one such wig. This is a wig I probably won't use for anything else, so it's being my dummy wig for now, for demonstration. It just makes me a little less wary about messing it up. Spray. This has got to be, now you might be wondering why is the first step spraying. This is just to find the body of the wig. So we've got our got to be, and I'm going to be spraying it into the wig. You can be messy at this point. What I'm doing with my hands is I'm just trying to gather all the hair over to one side. So I'm going like that. And you can see we're kind of messing with this top part. It's going to get kind of straggly. And this part is going to look very messy. See? Looks horrible. Well, we're done, so there you go. Now we're actually done. The neck step is to keep brushing it until it stays put. What you might want to try doing is taking the hair and back combing it. Back combing goes like that. You see? And what you're doing with back combing is you're essentially just damaging the wig fibers. Now you might be wondering, Koujaku, why am I damaging wig fibers? Valid question. It's because this style of wig, it's actually easier if your wig is more worn down. This is why a wig that's freshly out of the bag is actually harder to style than one that's been around for a long time, especially if you're going for something that's crazy spiky. So we've got our spike in the middle. We obviously need more spikes, so we need more hairspray. So as you can see, or maybe you can't see from here, but I'm holding the area of the wig I want to stand up where I want the body, and I'm just spraying into it. Again, this is going to look really messy at first, but I'm lifting it up to give it volume, and then I'm spraying. Now, over here we've got some mess, over here we've got some mess. Now we're just going to actually brush that out. So what we've done at this point is we've essentially shifted all the hair that was around the wig in a radius to one side. As you can see, it's kind of messy up top right now. A lot of people want to leave it at this point right now, which is fine. That's sort of the natural look. But what we want to do for our purposes is we want to give it a little bit of spike. Now what we don't want to do is over spike, because then we'll lose some of the natural look of our wig. In my opinion, a lot of people do like a lot of spikes and they want it to look more cartoony rather than natural. And that's fine, it's all up to your own aesthetics. There's no right or wrong way to style a wig. Just as a disclaimer, this is my way to style a wig. So I found my first spike, I've twisted the tip, and as you can see, I feel, well, as you can think if you read my mind, I feel that this part's a little too long. So no problem, even though we've passed our cutting stage, just take the thinning scissors, and the thinning scissors broke. Alright, this was unexpected. Don't worry about it. Sub in these scissors. And again, make sure we're cutting in one direction, away from or towards the wig. Alright, so even with the down thinning scissors, we're just going to keep going. Spray and twist. And there we go. We have our spike. I'm going to trim it at the top. Spike number 1 is done. And you can also do something called natural styling, or natural spiking, which would be just dryly moving the wig around. So as you can see, I'm just kind of twisting it with my fingers, going like that. And what it does is it makes sort of like a more fluffy look. And all I need to do for this is, I'm going to turn it towards me, excuse me, is you spray, you gently hold it where you want in position. So as you can see, the palm of my hand, I'm holding it, and you just spray like that, lightly, and you just hold it, and then you lightly brush it out just to smooth out the edges. But if you're doing a character like that and you want the bigger spike, sort of you're looking at, so this is more of a triangle, meanwhile this is more of almost a teardrop because it's big and fat on the end and then skinny at top, so it's just big, more voluminous. Then you might want to try the body style method. You can mix and match and do whatever you feel you need to do. I call this body styling. I don't really know why I call it body styling, but I do. And it's because it creates sort of a fuller body look. If you're doing something that's sort of like big, like Sora or say Tai from Digimon, not that I as Koujaku know who these characters are necessarily, haha. If you just spray onto your fingertips, that just allows you to straight up spike things. You don't even have to spray into the hair itself. You end up with something like this. This will show up a lot, and it's sort of, it looks a bit strange in my opinion, so what I do with these is I just, again, take my scissors. It would be thinning scissors if I hadn't broken mine, and you just sort of cut towards the wig. If you get into the habit of correcting things like that, it'll look, in my opinion, a lot better, because what you're doing is you're avoiding spikes that look, I guess, a little too stringy would be the word for it. The bangs are going to be your most important area of almost any wig, because it's the first thing people see. A lot of people will default to the big, chunky Hatsune Miku type bang in front, and that's fine, but you might find that if you make your bangs a little more interesting and a little shorter, a little sparser even, then your wig might end up benefiting a lot from that. So what we end up with is this guy. I don't know what character he is, but what we want to do is we want to fix up the edges. So they're going to be a little bit of flyaways, so we just want to snip with scissors or with thinning scissors, if you still have yours and haven't broken yours like I did. What I'm just finding is little things like here, this little flyaway. These things can just be snipped off because they aren't attached to enough of your wig to make a real big difference in its overall integrity. So up here a little bit as well. Okay, spray a little bit at the sides. What I like to do is I like to spray both of the front bangs right there and push them inward. As you can see, I've changed hair, so I've put on the wig. What I've done is I've brushed the bangs in front of my ear and tucked the remainder behind my ear. I've done the same on the other side. If you have a problem keeping your bangs close to your face, as you can see, this wig does it pretty well naturally, but if you're having trouble, try using spirit gum and just applying it to the sides of your face and pressing the hair to that. This will keep the sideburns down and keep them from flipping up. Another thing that's important is to wear a wig cap underneath, especially if your hair is long and luscious like mine. Nah, actually, I don't wear a wig cap. You don't need to wear a wig cap, but if your hair is long, you might want to, and this keeps the hair from sort of like hanging down. If I wanted to store this wig for, say, a convention, what I would do is, and I'm breaking the curtain here, guys, I'm not actually Koujaku. Yeah, you'll see in a minute. Oh, glorious wig hair, yeah. So if you want to store this wig for later, you don't have to put it on a wig head, although this will keep it safer if you just put it on a wig head. If you're, say, traveling to a convention, you don't really have the time, space, or don't want to hold the wig on a wig head, what you can do is take it at its center, so that would be the center of the wig, right there, right where that spike branches off. You don't want to fold it in the middle of the spike, that's the key, you want to find in between spikes. I just press down, grab it, like that, and then whoop, fold it inside out like that, just holding it at the top of the wig, like so. I can then put it inside a plastic bag and store it that way. If I then wanted to fold that back out, I'd hold it by the edges, like so, and I just flip it, starting at the front and moving towards the back. You don't have to be as precise as I'm saying you have to be. I mean, any way of flipping it inside out, as long as you're not, punching the wig in its non-existent face, is gonna be okay. But as you can see, it survived well. So if I want to go down to Washington or England, that would be the way I would store that wig, just because it's kind of a pain to hold things on top of wig heads.